All right, Evan, welcome back for another episode of Carnivore Trade. Today is Wednesday, November 13th, 2024. If you're not done so already, please give the video a thumbs up, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're not done so already. Come find me on carnivoretrades.com for swing trading alerts, analysis, and live day trading. Any engagement helps at this point. It's pretty much impossible to grow a small channel on YouTube without paying for advertising or being a perma bear. Even when my calls are correct, it just seems that nobody cares. But anyway, let's get into it. So thank you for the people who do watch. But anyways, let's get into it here today. So, and excuse me, I have a little bit of a sore throat, so I'm going to try and get through this okay. But markets here, basically flat at the end of the day for the most part. We had CPI, so we're looking at the futures here. CPI, we got a good bid, and I talked about this. I said this was probably going to be a fade this morning, and it was. And we got a nice rebound and back to basically flat by the end of the day for the most part, except for the Russell. So again, I've mentioned this here. There was some possibility of some rotation going on here today, and I think we got some of those sectors here. And rotation isn't something that just always happens all at once, but I am seeing it like specifically in the RTY and the IWM. I think the RTY is topped for now. So I know we talked earlier in the week about, do they want to just get that tag out of the way? It's only a few points away, and they never got the all-time high. I do think we will eventually make new all-time highs, but I think for right now, you pulled forward a lot of the gains. I mean, this is 22 to 24.50. You know, that's what 220, yeah. It's a pretty good gain here, percentage-wise. So 250, yeah, 11.3% in like a week. So a lot of those gains pulled forward, whereas the NASDAQ, not really so much. Now, I'll give you my next rotation here. There's a couple of things here. Well, I'll give you one of them anyway. So I think the market's really overweight. By the way, PPI tomorrow too. I think the market's really overweight this growth inflation trade. It's very important to understand, though, that TLT is not the entire bond market. I hear about this all the time. People are asking me about going long TLT. The long end of the yield curve can stay up, meaning TLT down or flat, right, with the short end going up, right? So bond yields can come down right on the 2-year, and TLT can just go flat and go lower. Right? It's very important to understand that. I see a lot of people trying to buy TLT, trying to pick the low. And yeah, we got a very good reversal in the 2-year. I'm going to say we may have topped on the 2-year. I've been calling for this level here, 440, or like since the low here when nobody thought it could happen. And we're there. But I mean, it's close enough, right? It's close enough, and it's good reversal there. So I don't know, maybe we have one more exhaustion move up there, but I don't think we're going to go much higher. So very important to understand that. TLT is not the entire bond market. It's one portion of the bond market that's really focused on the long end. And if long-term inflation expectations are embedded, this isn't going to go up. So with all that said, in the short term, I think that this trade's kind of crowded. The long yield, I should say, long growth kind of trade, dollar index kind of trade. That doesn't mean the dollar won't go higher. I just think in the near term, like, you're probably closer to some backing and filling than not. Hey, though, it got through that big resistance zone. So next level is 107. I wouldn't rule that out. And I think that continues until OPEX, right? There's a lot of, I've been talking ad nauseum about election hedges, right? Well, it's not like the election's over and then they just all disappear. Like, if you were hedged and you expected a contested election, you didn't just hedge for November 6th. You probably hedged to at least November OPEX, right? So you're going to see those flows continue to unwind here over the next probably 2 days. So that's probably why we're still seeing the dollar really ramp up here, and why you're seeing other areas of the market like solar continue to take a hit, even though you could argue that was kind of a capitulation looking candle. Speaking of capitulation, you guys will love this one. Analysts yesterday downgrading all these solar stocks. SEDG right off literally made a new all-time low today. This was yesterday. Don't you love how they conveniently waited to do that right there? And then look at this intraday. big up move. I guess insiders buying. I think their CEO bought like $2 million worth. But I mean, doesn't he know that the analysts all downgraded them? I mean, what does he know compared to all these genius analysts who downgraded it a day before the all-time low? But I think you could see this kind of rotation here. Again, in these really hated sectors, anti-Trump trade kind of sectors. Again, these are just ideas. What's the real rotation that I want to give you guys, though? IGV, sell, and buy SMH. So you guys know, if you've been following the channel for any amount of time, I talk about it every single day. I never let you guys forget. I said, in June, buy IGV, sell SMH. Buy IGV, sell SMH. Nobody wanted to do it. And then here we are 30% later. IGV is at all-time highs. And SMH is still where it was in June. I think that's about to flip here. And I said this, I actually tweeted about this earlier today. In the middle of the day before this happened, this was like right in the 1 o'clock time frame. I didn't know we were going to get a tail candle. That's a legitimate, valid topping tail with volume on IGV. So I think the flip is on here, and I think SMH can make a comeback. We also got NVIDIA earnings, I think, next week. Yeah, next Wednesday. We'll see about that. But this pattern here on SMH, it's had boom, higher lows. And you got sideways here on the weekly. As long as it continues to make higher lows, eventually 250, 260 will break. So that's my idea. That's my next rotation. And you guys know, at least maybe a little bit, I think Microsoft and maybe Apple will join the parties here soon. I know that everybody, it broke the trend line. I don't care. Like, forget the trend line. You guys put way too much emphasis on trend lines. It's just there, right? The Qs broke the trend line. You sell it. Okay, there's 30 points later on the triple Qs. Look what happened. 35 points later. But anyway, Apple hasn't even joined the party yet. If this ascending triangle, if this pattern plays out to the upside, we're going to go higher. Microsoft hasn't done anything yet. So it's, from what I see, it's hated. Nobody cares about Microsoft anymore. Look at the weekly, though. This is not bearish. Look at the monthly. This is not bearish. It's just consolidating. It's digesting a big up move. So if these two join the party, I'm going to, have a hard time thinking that IWM is going to continue leading. I think it's going to be the triple Qs. That said, I still think we need to do some more consolidation here. We're still about, 14 points extended from the daily 20, and SPX is 150 points extended from the daily 20. So I think that needs to catch up a little bit. But that's my next rotation, assuming nothing happens to derail the rally, which I don't believe will. So that's where I'm at. And we'll see if that ends up being the case. Right now, I think everything's fine above 590 SPY. Wouldn't worry too much. 508 QQQ maybe. Could be a little bit of an area of concern if we got below that for too long, but I think that's okay too. Well, let's say 507. And then IWM, I think this does need to retrace. I don't know if it fills the gap completely. Everybody's going to be sitting there. I'm going to put my buy order at 224.23 because that's the exact gap fill. What's probably not going to get there. It's probably going to stop shy of that, or it's going to shoot through it. But we'll see. It needs to firm up, needs to do some backing and filling. Dow here, up 42 cents today on the DIA. I don't really love it. I don't hate it. But, it's basically at all-time highs. SMH we talked about. NVIDIA earnings next week. I don't see anything too bearish for that right now. IGV topping tail. We'll look for confirmation tomorrow. But by the way, it's not a short. It just means I would, harvest gains up here. Dow Transports, again, kind of like the Russell, pulled forward a lot of gains and now trying to cool off. But unlike the Russell, this is kind of making higher lows and higher highs. So I think this is okay if the 20 MA catches up to price, which it will. So transport's holding up a little bit better. Let's get over to rates again really quick. So I don't know, maybe we can get up here at 440 on the twos, but I think that's it. I believe, by the way, December there's a 67% chance of a rate cut. I don't. We'll see. This is going to have to go down for that to happen. 5s, 10s, and 30s a lot more firm. So again, God, you guys have to understand the yield curve. It's like this will save you a lot of money and a lot of headache. So the 2s can go down, right, and 30s can go up. It doesn't have to be one more or the other. So don't think TLT is necessarily a buy just because bond yields are coming down, or CNBC says bond yields are coming down. XHB up 29 cents. This is still being hampered by long rates here, long end rates. Right now, it's just in a ping pong here. Got to get above 120. You could make a case you have a daily head and shoulder there too. But ask yourself, is the weekly confirming it? Maybe. It's kind of tight. But trend is still very, very much up, and the monthly is still very, very fine. BNQ still in a range. I still favor that to break up eventually. May need to come down one more time, though. XLF, I think, is overbought. Again, this may unwind next week, too. So there's certain things I think will unwind. There's KBE down 74 basis points today, KRE down as well. That took the Russell down. I think these will unwind here a little bit. The mighty broker dealers came down 1% too. Oil was interesting today. So we spiked the low. Well, almost. I told you guys 67 had to hold. It got to 66.94. The interesting little 4-hour kind of divergence there too. So it made a new low and then no confirmation, and it popped right back in. So I think if it's going to go lower, it's going to need to do some more consolidation, more bear flagging. But right now, I still haven't touched oil much. Technically, could have a higher low here. I don't see anything I love on it, though. What I do like, though, is XLE. And XLE was deep red today. And it came back very nicely and closed near the highs of the day. That's pretty good. You get above 95, I think it's really going to take off. XOP, again, deep red today, closed up 59 cents. OIH was down, but you still have this nice inside pattern here. So the energy stocks are still pretty good, and I still like them. CCJ, kind of a gap in crap, but overall, not really the worst. They just kind of retrace some of that. And then some of the, so it's really kind of a senior story here in the uranium space. Look at how much worse URNM and then URNJR. Again, still looking for weekly higher lows, but they might have lower to go. I think way too many people jumped in up here. They FOMO'd in. Nat gas, everybody in the trading room knows to just buy nat gas whenever I say it needs to consolidate. And I said this yesterday, but look at that. So I was really mulling buying this at 285 to 287 this morning, and it just didn't, and there it is at $3. So we'll see. It might need to back off one more day or something like that. This is still resistance, then 310. I still think this rallies into the end of the month for the most part. Dollar index we talked about, into the pivot high here, 106.50. And then 107. That should be pretty stiff resistance, but I mean, it's also blown through every other resistance lately, so till it stops, or yeah, it keeps going until it stops. Gold, on the other hand, I do think gold is getting attractive here, especially at like right into this 100 MA, especially down into OPEX. I do like it. It's starting to unwind right into this previous support here. And it's making divergent lows, as I've showed you. It's continuing to make those divergent lows without really working off the oversold condition. So I do like that RSI here, I think. And maybe it's bouncing on PPI tomorrow. Maybe it'll be next week. You see silver with the same setup, although silver possibly has a higher low here. So I think metals are interesting. I think the highs are in for now, but I think in the short term, we're looking at risk to the upside here, if that makes sense. Platinum down 75 basis points. Maybe needs to test like 930-ish. Palladium, still weak. So that may be going to 900. Again, that's why you got to take profits on these on the way up. And copper here, breaking bear. This may, I think $4 will hold for now. But that's it, though. Maybe an inverted cup and handle there, too. inside bar failure. So careful with copper. And again, this is at odds with this whole growth story too. Copper and oil. So I think a lot of it is honestly the reason why the dollar keeps going up and yields keep going up, with the exception of today, is because there's residual hedges that are just getting squeezed out, and dealers are being forced to position a certain way, and they're unwinding those trades. Because right now, if growth is so great, right, and it's CPI was higher than last month, why is copper down? Why is oil flat? So you always just keep in mind those things here. Bitcoin, maybe a local top. We'll see. Got to my target of 93, and it came back in pretty nicely. So I did harvest a little bit of gains up here too, at 90,250. So that was nice. I think 40% on part of that trade. So I already took a little bit off before. Now just leaving a runner. So if he wants to go into the 6 digits, cool. If not, and we top out, that's fine. Still have a deep embedded profit here, so I'm not worried about it. Is this the high? We'll see. That's a pretty good tail. ETH reversing, Doge coming in. Doji after a big move. No, didn't make a new high today either. Solana down 2%, so back in, maybe a false breakout there if it breaks back below. What do you got? 200. Another thing I noticed too, look at MSTR, Coinbase, Wolf. So they're starting to show, starting to see some money come out. Has Aaron been talking about rotation in something, and in and out of things lately that are related to a Trump trade? Maybe this is it, right? So this is kind of what I mean here. But Bitcoin, it's still, it's still the king, it's still hanging in there. It's green. But yeah, just be careful if you have gains. Just make sure you trail and don't be stupid about it. But you can still go to the 6 digits. There's nothing saying you can't. It could flag for 2 weeks and then go up there. So anyway, yeah, spiders here. It closed up 2 basis points. Yeah, and then there's 5 basis points on the SPY. Qs, I think, were fractionally lower. So I think the market's okay. I think my next trade here though would be long mag 7 and not necessarily short IGV, but out of those other things, out of the Russell. I think the growth thing is priced in. So personally, anyway, I'll wrap it up here, guys. You guys take care. Don't forget to come find me on carnivoretrades.com. We'll see you guys all tomorrow.